In this section, we're going to gear up for starting your SEO audit. Before we actually begin the audit, we want to look at how to track your findings, what questions you need to ask yourself or your client before you begin, and how to get a quick overview of how the website you'll be auditing is actually performing. Once you've done this, we'll start going step by step through the actual audit itself. You're going to be pulling a lot of data and information, so it's best to track it as you go. So by the end of your audit, you'll have a fully completed website. Now, how detailed you track this depends on if you're doing this for your own personal or business website or if you're doing this for a client. But next, you'll find a blank SEO report that you can download and use for your audit. And I encourage you to use that for your website as you go through this course. If you're doing the audit for yourself, you can input the details and make some quick notes. On the other hand, if you're doing this for a client, you'll want to write out your recommendations and present this more professionally. Either way, remember that you'll resort back to this document down the road once you had time to see how effective the changes you made have been. When you conduct your next audit, you'll want to compare the two. If you plan on offering SEO auditing services to your clients, there are several questions that you want to ask them before you get started. On the other hand, if you will just be doing this for your own personal or business websites, there's still some questions that you'll want to think about before you get started. The first is you want to know if any previous search engine optimization work has been done. And if there has been, are they able to furnish any reports from that previous work? Because you want to know where the other company focused their efforts. And you want to see what work has actually been done. But you want to know whether this is for yourself or for your client. What are the goals for doing an SEO audit? What do you hope to achieve? What do you hope to get out of it? You also want to look at what are the most important pages as well as products and services on the website. Because not only do you want to drive traffic to your website, you want to convert those visitors. And we also want to know where we want to focus our efforts, especially if you're dealing with 100-page website. You want to start with the most important pages. What other advertising has the website use? What's their current marketing strategy? Do they use pay-per-click ads? Are they on social media? And are the website statistics currently being tracked? We want to be able to go in and look at what the current traffic looks like. We want to see how many visitors they're getting to their site. We want to see what are the most popular pages and so on. And lastly, if you're doing this for a client, you want to ask, is there anything I missed that you think I should know? Because you never know if there's something else that may have happened with the website that you will not get from asking those initial questions. And by opening it up to the customer, you're giving them an opportunity to share with you anything that may have happened or anything that they have noticed with their traffic or even competitors. All right. Let's take a look at the website that we're actually going to be auditing in this course. This is from a client of mine who came to me and he already had his website set up. This is from a business that was established almost a year ago and they want to rank more organically in search engines. We decided the best step would be to do an SEO audit to really get a good idea of how they are currently benefiting from search engines, how search engine friendly their website is, so that we can figure out what are the best steps to take to get them ranked. As you can see, they have a basic website where they list their services and prices, some samples of their work, testimonials from their clients. As you can see, they are really trying to show off their work. They list their contact information. They show where they can be found on Facebook, on Yelp. So they're really trying to get people to contact them and speaking with them. They said their top keywords are lawn mowing, Centerville, Virginia, which is where they're located, landscaping and lawn care, lawn service and lawn maintenance, all with Centerville or Centerville, Virginia attached, as this is a local business. So now we're going to look more at keywords to make sure these are the best keywords to target, but we'll get into that in a bit. They've listed several of their online competitors. However, in doing a quick search for their top keyword, I don't see any of their top online competitors listed. When I scroll down, I do see them listed here in the local search results, but I don't see them listed here in the top search results. Now, if you'll notice, they do appear here in the sponsored area. They are using Google AdWords currently as part of their marketing plan, and they've also mentioned that they're trying to grow on Facebook. When I go to their Facebook page, I do have it nicely set up. I see that they've started to drive some people to their page. Their last post was almost 2 weeks ago, and it looks like most of their posts here tend to be a bit promotional. I see that there's a gap between March and January and then again from January to November. So it looks like it's a little bit sporadic when they tend to post. They also said they really want to drive people directly to their services page and perhaps even their portfolio, but they really want to focus on their services of mowing, landscaping, and leaf removal because those are their top services, their top selling services. Their ultimate goal is to be able to use this audit to figure out exactly what steps they need to take and what they can do both on their website and off their website to grow their organic traffic and grow their business. And that's exactly what we're going to look at step by step in this course. So I encourage you as we go through and audit the lifelong and prosper website that you do the same for yours. Before I jump right into starting the SEO audit, I'd like to just get a general idea of what I'm working with. It just helps me wrap my mind around the actual website that I'm going to be looking at, gives me a general idea of where they're starting from, and then it helps me as I move forward. So I want to show you just a few things that I look at as I go. The very first thing I start with is, of course, their website. No, we looked at their website in general. However, I want to look at how well their website is set up to convert, because part of doing an SEO audit is, yes, we want to be able to drive traffic to their website. We want to make sure that the website is search engine friendly. But really, if we drive all this traffic to our website and the website is not set up to convert, it's really not going to do this business owner any good. And so that's why I always start with their website. Some of the things I'm going to look for are like social proof. I see they have number 1, customer satisfaction. I don't know what lawnstarter.com is, but that's something I may look into to see how that looks. But as a potential customer, that looks good. When you see number 1, customer satisfaction, I see that I can call or text that phone numbers very huge. I have email right there. I see Facebook. I see Yelp, which are very well known. And so that looks very legitimate. So that's really good. Now, what I'm missing when I first look at the website is a call to action. What is the visitor supposed to do? I see before and after pictures. That's great. I see the contact information. But when I scroll down a little bit, they are trying to drive potential customers to get a quote. That seems to be what they want them to do, to either get a quote or up here to call them. The problem is that their call to action is below the fold, meaning I have to scroll down to see what it is that they want me to do as a visitor. So I would recommend that they move that call to action up, even if that just means moving that get a quote button up here towards their slideshow, or even incorporating that into their slideshow. So I would encourage this business to think about what it is that they want visitors to do when they land on their page and drive them to do that. Don't make them guess. Tell them what it is that you want them to do. So those are some of the things that I would look at initially on the website. I still want to look at things like their content. What is it that they're sharing here? Now, many small businesses make the mistake of on their homepage telling people about their business because they're excited about it. And that's exactly what's happening here. They're saying this is a local family or a family-owned business, which is a great thing. And it's also something that's really good to advertise. It makes people feel comfortable. However, this talks all about them. We want to talk about the customer on the website. How is it that this business can help the customer? Because as a visitor, I want to know how you can help me. Do you have the services that I need? Are you going to take care of my issue? And then if you do, and I want to know more about you, I'll go looking for an about page. So that would definitely be one of my recommendations to them as well, is to talk less about them and more about the customer on the home page. Now, I don't see anywhere to look in the footer, and I don't see anywhere here an about page. So an about page is where they can put all of that information. Also look to see if they have information like a privacy policy or terms and conditions. I don't see that either. Now, since they listed Facebook and Yelp, I'm gonna go take a quick look at those. Now, we looked at their Facebook page a little bit earlier. We see that they have a very nice header. We can look at their photos. They have taken time to upload a lot of before and after photos. So that's great. We can see if there's any about information. There is the contact information, a link to their website, some basic services. Let's say they do have some information. Here it looks like about them. Now we'll go look at Yelp and I'm looking for the same thing. I want to make sure that wherever they are online that their profiles are complete. So here they have one review. So it looks like that. They said this is something they're just getting started. They've uploaded a lot of images. They have their website, their phone number. So it looks like they are complete here. Next, I like to do a general Google search for the business name to see what information pulls up on the business. You can see that the first website listed is their main domain. Next is their Facebook page. So that's great that that comes up. Their images come up, their Yelp profile comes up. Says they're on YouTube. They didn't mention that. So that's something that I'm gonna have to check out. Says they have a Google Plus profile, which they didn't mention. So I'm gonna have to check that out as well. And we want to see how complete these profiles are. Let's go ahead and take a look at their YouTube. So it looks like they have one video that they just uploaded a week ago. The name is not going to help them, as you can see here. So that's something we're going to have to look into a little bit more, but I'm not going to do that right at the moment. So going back, let's see what else they have here. You can see there's some other links that aren't necessarily related to them cafe press books. Let's see what comes up on the next page. So really, all of their stuff is on the first page right there where it should be. So that looks good. And it looks like their website is presenting well. Now the next thing that I want to do is go back to Google. And I want to type in site, semicolon, and then the website domain. And I want to do a search because this is going to tell me for this particular site how many of their actual pages are indexed and how do they come up. How high or low do they come up? So you'll see before the actual website even comes up, we have Yelp, Facebook coming up. But then we have this third website here coming up before the client's actual domain. So that's not too good. But it does show that their contact homepage and portfolio page is coming up. And a couple other things that are not related here. So their services page, which they said is their most important to them, is not even coming up on the first page. Now there was another tool called a refs, and this is going to tell you how many backlinks that they have to their site. So I can type in their domain and try it for free. And a backlink is essentially any other website that includes the lifelong and prosper.com link on their website, referring any of their visitors to this website. And it says there are only 2 domains that are currently referring to the website. So that's something that they're going to need to work on. And we'll talk more about that later. So although there's 11 links, there's only 2 domains that are referring traffic. So I'm going to go down here and click on referring domains. I want to see what it is. So there's 2 websites here. I don't recognize either one of those. So those websites are just general web directories. That's not necessarily what we're looking for. I've also checked on a couple different mobile devices to see how well the website appears, to see if it's mobile friendly. There is not a specific mobile version, however, it does resize appropriately. So now that just gives me a general idea of where we're standing. I'm going to look at their Google Analytics account. I see that they actually just started. That's why there's no traffic here for a while. They just started to track their website statistics and their traffic, and they are getting some hits, but not too much. Here, they have a very high bounce rate of 71%, which is not good. But I want to go down here and get an overview of their traffic. Looks like most of it is referral, but the referral traffic is getting a 92% bounce rate. So that's not doing them much good. They're getting a lot of direct traffic. However, This may be tracking the actual business owner going to the website as well. So we'll have to see if he exists, excluding himself from these results. We saw that he has been doing some paid search, which has a much lower bounce rate. So that looks really good. He's trying some targeted traffic, but it doesn't look like he has set up any goals. So I don't know that he's actually tracking how well that's working right here. He is getting a little bit of organic search. That's getting a low bounce rate of 23%. So we can take a look in here and see what keywords he's actually ranking for. Most of them are not provided by Google, and the others live long in prosper landscaping. So that's not really organic because they already know about them. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that we can look at just to get a general idea of what we're dealing with. And if this is your own website, these are some things that you really want to think about and see how you are already doing before you start your audit, before you start making improvements to your website so that you can compare how you were before and how you will be once all of your changes have been completed down the road. So now let's get more into how to start our SEO audit. This is a pretty neat website. If you want to be able to see your website, how a search engine sees it, and all you need to do is insert your particular website into this box here, and we'll do a quick search. And as you can see, it's gonna lay out your website, and it's gonna be a little ugly looking, but that's okay. This is how search engines see it. We only need it to be visually appealing for visitors. As you can see, the images are kind of grayed out, and that's because search engines can't understand images unless we give them certain code, and we'll talk about that later on. But what's really neat is over here on the right hand side. This gives you some general quick information about the website. You can see how many words are on the page, how many internal links, and again, we'll get into this in more detail. So don't worry too much about this right now. You can also see here what title they've given the page, how many characters that has, how many what keywords they're currently trying to rank for. So although they gave me 5 keywords, I look here and I see that they have a ton of keywords. And the keywords that they gave me are not even the ones that are up top here, listed as their primary keywords. I also see that they're trying to rank for some keywords that are using their competition's name. So I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea. I can also see their description, how many characters it has. And then when you look below, what's neat is you can see how does the title and the description actually show up if this appears in search results, which is really neat to see. So you can edit your title in your description if you'd like to. If you want to get all of the information, you can click and download, and this will download an Excel file for you so you have all this information. But I think this is just a neat way to see how search engines see your website so you can get an idea of what they think is most important. If you're about to purchase a domain name, or you have purchased a domain name and you are struggling to actually rank that website, and despite all of your efforts, you're not sure why this is something you definitely want to pay attention to, this is a good example for you. I had someone recently come to me and present me with this website. From what they were saying, it sounded like they were moving in the right direction. But I started to take a closer look, and I started to see why they were struggling to run their website. And this is why I advise you to check on the domain you're going to buy before you do it, because it's very likely that the domain you're going to purchase was used before you, and for the most part, it's probably going to be fine. It may or may not be related to what you're actually going to be doing with the website. But the issue comes into play when the domain was used for any malicious or spammy activity. And whatever the people before you did can come back to hurt you, especially with SEO. So there's a couple of things that you can do to research a domain. The first thing that you can do is go into Google and type in site semicolon followed by your domain name. Now, right now, this website does not show any results, and despite them submitting sitemaps, despite them putting links in many places, they are coming up with 0 results. Now, in some instances, you may actually see a lot of links here, and you want to go and click through some of those, see where this website or this domain rather is listed. Because if it is listed on a lot of spammy sites, it looks like anything suspicious was going on. This is a domain you're going to want to stay away from. So what I can do, since this is not pulling any results, is I can go to what is called the Wayback Machine. This is a website that allows you to view web pages as they looked years ago, whether it's the same person who owned it or if it is a new person who owns the domain. This is where you can see what it used to look like. So I can go here and I can type in my domain name, and now I can see all the activity from 2014, and you'll see here highlighted below there are several different dates, and I can click on any one date, and this is going to pull up a screenshot of what this website looked like. So I can see here this is something different. Obviously this isn't very pretty looking, looks like it's a WordPress website. It has different links than what I had. They're going back to 2000, early 2014, October 2013, and I can read through what they had. So it looks like they were also trying to run this for criminal lawyer, but says defenses for the costs are usually a suitable region to discover an increase in early stages in the lawsuit procedure. What obviously, that is just gibberish. This is not a good quality site. So that's a little bit of an alarm for me right there. So I'm going to go back. I can go back you into 2013. Select a date. So this looks like it may be the same site. I see some interesting articles over here. Now they're talking about hiring a San Antonio personal injury lawyer. Although this is a Denver site here, they talk about a Chicago, Miami, so that looks a little iffy as well. So when I go back even further several years back, I can see that this was a website for a specific attorney. So it looks like this is a much more legitimate site years ago. But it looks like after this person let the website go, somebody else picked it up, and everything else that I'm seeing is rather spamming. So this is a huge indicator that this website has been involved with a lot of spammy activity and what the person can